Right. Am I recording? Yes.
Yes, I think you are.
I have no message which tells me I'm recording, but it's not written that it's recording. Here we are then, having another MFL Teams workshop. We've got, there's our etiquette. ALL, are you a member? Please, please say in the chat now, even though if you've said it hundreds of times already, please tell everybody how good it is to belong to ALL. Here are your hosts for today, and in particular, it's going to be Esmeralda and Jérôme, who are going to be talking to us today. So we're here having a workshop. Obviously, there are lots and lots of recordings already, but this is really for an opportunity for someone to talk about something and we can ask them questions about it. We've got lots of recordings. Jérôme is curating a Wakelet where you'll see other ideas that people have got about how they use Microsoft tools. There's a Facebook group. If you're a member of the Facebook group, perhaps say you're a member and encourage people to join that. Jenna Riley Turner does that. It's a really good group to belong to. And do follow everybody through MFL Twitterati. All of the webinars that we have are on our webinar ALL London site. You'll be able to see a list of them. There are lots of events coming up. We've got this Friday for new teachers and students. On Saturday, we've got Gloria Enrique, and particularly those of you who've come here, it's because you're interested in Microsoft. She is fantastic. Jo is so excited about the fact that she's going to come along and speak to us. And we're deliberately making it, she's going to be talking, isn't she, Jo, particularly about using Microsoft Forms and that sort of thing. We're not going to spend ages on it because I know that we've got Jérôme who needs to get away. Perhaps later on we can talk a little bit more about the other things which are coming up, but that one in particular. And, you know, I'd love it if you could come along to my talk that I'm doing with Rachel Hawkes and David Binns, a fantastic platform that we're using there, Sanico, really good for doing speaking endorsements. Danielle's coming, I've changed that to March the 24th. Is that right, Jo? Because she had to change, so
yes, she's got a parents' evening on the 25th, so she's moving it to the 24th. So we need to, we need to make that known to everybody. Yeah, that's right.
And then Jennifer's coming along on the March the 27th. Oh, still more and more coming. So lots of things to come up. And the thing that I meant to say I didn't was ALL, please do join and come along to Language World, which is on Friday and Saturday, the 12th and 13th of March. And if you're a member of ALL, it's very, very cheap. So I'm going to stop showing my screen now and pass over to Jérôme.
Hello.
Jérôme.
Bonsoir, good evening, everybody.
Bonsoir.
Thanks for having me again. Okay, so I'm going to speak about the wonderful Immersive Reader, and I think that Julia may well be adding bits and bobs after that. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, and I forgot to put the sound on. I need to put the sound on. That'd be very useful this time around. So I was going to try again. Last time I forgot about that one. So share my screen.
With Zoom, you can do it afterwards. That's the thing I missed.
I am so used to Microsoft.
Yeah,
okay.
But in Zoom.
So I'll start again. I do apologize. It's been a long day also anyway. So where do I go to go? It's more and more, isn't it? More and share sound. Yay, you've got it. Got it. Sorry, apologies about that. I keep moving on. There we go. And I put that there and there we go. So, okay, amazing Immersive Reader by Microsoft. Okay, it's a little sign that you see on the side. So Immersive Reader is everywhere in Microsoft products, but also many more. So you have it in Word, in Notebook, in Flipgrid, in Teams, Outlook, in Edge. I'm going to show you a little demo in a second with a few things that you have here. And obviously in Wakelet, it's got to be there. Bundy, Pear Deck, ThingLink, the fabulous deck toys. We've got Esmeralda, she's a queen of deck toys. She can speak about that for hours and hours, and Neopod, and many, many more. But these are the ones which are quite, quite famous around the MFL Twitterati and things like that. So there we go. What do you find it? Well, I'm going to do a demo anyway, but it's probably better if I do a live demo now. So I'm going to get off this little bit presentation. And we are going to go into a Word. I'm going to go on Word Online on purpose because I'm on a Mac and I don't want to mess it up. So I want to make sure things are working properly. So if you go into Word, for example, here, and you go into View, there you have the wonderful Immersive Reader. So click on Immersive Reader, and technically you're going to have this. You can see that there's already a difference in the writing. It's all different. You have that little button to play at the bottom, and you have the voice settings here. Okay, normally, if everything goes well, it does recognize the language you're going to be using straight away from the start. You don't have to change the language. It's very clever. It recognizes that the language the text is in straight away. So you should be reading in French, and you should be reading
Chanson des oiseaux de Victor Hugo. Avril ouvre à deux battants le printemps.
Okay, so and so on and so forth. So it's not bad. You can, if you want to make the change of voice to a male, you can do that. You can change the speed. I think now the speed is probably good for basic learners. You can make it normal speed and maybe a bit faster if you want to challenge people. There, what is amazing, obviously it can read it. So if you have, if you want to know the pronunciation of some words, or if you want to, some learners want to see what's in front of you, or if you have some reading impairment and you don't see very well, it's pretty amazing. But it's not only that. You can also change the size of the text if needed. Okay, so if you got some visual impairment, you can increase the space if you suffer from visual crowding. So you have that from the start, and it was already increased because I was struggling with it earlier on, but you can increase the space between the words. I think that's pretty amazing too. You can change the font. It's in Comic Sans, but Comic Sans, as you know, it is the font which is used with little children. And this way you can see the right formation of the letters. What is also very, very good, if you suffer from dyslexia or some other learning disability, you can change the background also. It's probably slightly easier to read if you put a different color, and obviously you have more colors there, but this is the possibility. You can do that too. I'm not going to go there. So that's one of the things there. If we move on to the grammatical option, that is pretty good. So you can do if you want to start with some learners, but you need to know how to pronounce it, and you can divide it into syllables. So syllables. Okay, l'été, le suis, déploie. Okay, it's not bad if you're working on that. But what is amazing also here is you can, by the click of a button, identify all of the nouns. So there you go. All my nouns have been highlighted in this little area here. And what about the verbs? Let's look at that. All the verbs also have been highlighted in red. You can change the colors, but that's pretty amazing. And adjectives. So you can do even grammatical exercises also what you're doing here. And it could be quite a good little exercise to do that. And what is also amazing, you can find the adverbs, and you can also show the labels on top. So you have it tells you what is what. If you actually close it, don't remember what the color is meaning, you still have the little letter on top there. Okay. So I'm going to take it off. And what is also very, very good is the fact that if it's the setting is on, first of all, you have the line focus. So you can just, for the reading, have just one line. If some people suffer also from reading dispute, they kind of concentrate, they just have just the one line to be reading. Normally you can have that 3 or 5, but it doesn't seem to be there at the moment. But it's also possible. I only got the one option here for some reason. Then I have also, I'm going to take it off. I have also the picture dictionary, which is really good fun too. So if you want, I don't know what TAPI is, I click on it, and it tells me in English, and you have also some little pictures, and it shows me what a TAPI is, and you've got also the pronunciation
Tapis.
in French, and
Carpet.
obviously you know what carpet is. So sorry about that, parents meeting on the other side. So that's very, very clever, very good thing. Maybe I should do that. Yep. And let's put in full mode. I also have, so there was a translation by word. If I do this, I can, so therefore I can have the picture dictionary. I can take off the picture dictionary if I don't want it. Icon herb and grass is got also underneath there. And furthermore, if I want to have the translation of the whole document, I just click on this and it's going to be translating into all in English. And it's pretty amazing. You can do that if you're learning the language and you need to know what the text is all about. If you're reading a poem, for example, and you want to know the meaning, you're not so sure about it, you can translate that. And obviously you have quite a large amount of languages you can play with. I want to change it into Catalan, for example, and it didn't work, but the whole document, there it is, it's done. Okay. So all very, very clever thing. If I move on to, I'm going to go on Edge very, very quickly. In Immersive Reader also, in Edge, you also have the Immersive Reader. So when you go on the website, I'll pick deliberately something in Spanish. You have here in the window, in the bar, in the address bar, sorry, you have the little Immersive Reader sign. So if I click on it, I will have all the little settings there. You can have the read aloud. It's going to be reading aloud text preferences. Again, you will have all the same little options I can have. Grammar tools and reading preferences. It's all in there too. So it's already built in, which is pretty amazing. I'm going to go into OneNote. And I'm actually in class notebook here because I'm in Teams. Sorry about that one. This is a document that I scanned with Microsoft Lens. It's got to change the name. It used to be called Office Lens, maybe it's called Microsoft Lens. And it's an OCR, and I've just put up the document. So I scanned it to my phone. I sent it up directly into this area here. And what happens is this is a PDF, this is an OCR document. What I need to do now, if this is an OCR, I just click on View, and what is going to happen there, I'll put my Immersive Reader up, and straight away, amazingly, it's going to be reading.
Das Feuer. James Kröss hörst du, wie die...
There we go. It's reading an OCR document, and that's pretty amazing, I think. Last time when we did this, I was asked if Google was actually doing some kind of Immersive Reader, and the fantastic Jodel, as ever, had a solution to it. So I'm going to show that to you now. That tool, if I go back into my presentation, maybe. So if you can have access to this later and after. Something called Help a Bird. And if you go into websites and you work into Google, you can use the Help a Bird, and it's installed. It's an extension which is free. You can put it onto your computer, and what happens? It works exactly the same way. So if I go onto my site here, what do you want? And I need to get my Help a Bird, which is all here. So you have to talk a little bit. There's plenty of different options. You can spend quite a bit of time playing with it, but you have also the Immersive Reader in it. And if I click on Start, and it should be operating the same system that it's been doing before, and I already got some stuff in there too. So it's also in, and you can be reading all sorts of things. So all very, very clever stuff.
While you're there, is it possible to show Laura how you can change it from a female to a male voice?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah. No problem. So I'm going to play.
Google aplicará a partir del 1 de mayo un recargo del 2%.
So she's speaking really fast. So I can slow it down and put it as a male voice.
El 2% a las facturas relativas a los anuncios en España.
That will make Laura happy. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I should have thought about the sex balance to make sure that we've got both sides speaking, the lady and the man. But that's me. That's it. I'm done. I think that Julia wanted to add a couple of things, but I'm going to stop sharing. If people have got questions, I think, that's me. I hope that was useful.
We know that we saw the messages. You've got to go to your parents' evening. Thank you so much for giving us that time.
Thank you.
As you say, Julia will be able to take questions.
I'm sure she will.
Your parents, but thank you so much.
Have a good night. Lovely to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, the questions I noticed was, if it's available in PowerPoint, and I quickly looked it up, and I found an article from October where the amazing Mike Thorson from Microsoft is saying that it will be rolled out, but it doesn't seem to be working yet. And I tried it in my desktop app, and I tried it on the web-based version. At some point, you're meant to just be able to right-click on a text in PowerPoint, and then it should come up with the option of Immersive Reader in that list of where you can copy and add links and so on. But I don't think it's rolled out for everyone yet. But really, I guess it's because PowerPoints you meant to have presented to you, and you don't normally read PowerPoints yourself, really. And I guess that's why it's not really in PowerPoint, because it's more for dealing with longer text, which you wouldn't really get in a PowerPoint normally. But I guess if you want to use that grammar tool, you could just use it in Word or in OneNote or whatever, and then take a screenshot of it with the words highlighted in different colors, and then put it onto your PowerPoint to then discuss it with students. I guess it's just that the students can't do it themselves, so they would need to use one of those other things.
Can I just say one other thing which you mentioned earlier, because someone had asked it, was, and you gave that advice, how does it know what language it is? And the important thing is that you do set it to be the review language. The spell check has to be in that language, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I can show it in a sec.
Yeah.
I mean, Immersive Reader, like so many things, there's so many different versions of it, and each one has slightly different features. So if you're using Word, for example, the kind of standalone desktop app, it has some of the features, but not all of them. While the most features you get with Immersive Reader is in OneNote, where it has everything that Jerome showed, and in the web version of Word. So they are the two best ones. But I can just quickly show, well, actually, if I show what I wanted to show, namely how to get a textbook text into Word or into OneNote as a text, and then I can show how I then change it to the language. I think that makes the most sense, if that's okay. So I quickly share my screen. So yeah, so the question was, what do I do if I have a textbook? So because normally, if, for example, here I'm in my German Caboodle book, and in here, it would not work. So Immersive Reader wouldn't be able to read this page as it is, as far as I know, because it's kind of pictures and not text. But there are several different ways of getting the text to turn the picture of the text into an actual editable text, which then obviously makes it readable for Immersive Reader, but it also means then you can do lots of other things with it. You can make it into a gap fill, you can put it into Textivate or whichever other websites you're using. So it's a really good thing to know anyway. So I'll show you how to do it. So let's say I wanted this text here in the corner, and I just zoom in as much as possible. That's quite important to get the quality as good as possible. And now I take a screenshot, and if you don't know this trick, it's gonna blow your mind. And it's so the Windows button on your keyboard, and Shift and S. And Joe Dale also knows a good trick how to do it with just the print screen button, but maybe we can come to that later. And you can see it's brought up my snipping tool. So now I can just select this little bit. So that paragraph that I want, and it's now on my clipboard. So I can do two different things with it. I can use the old version of OneNote. Weirdly, it does not work in the new version of OneNote, which is really annoying. And I don't know why they haven't carried it over. So that's one of the good things about OneNote 2016, because now, so this is a text I pasted in earlier. Well, I can just do the one I've just copied. Here's the one I just took. And I can now right click on it, and it says select text from image. And now it's highlighted everything that it's recognized as text. I can copy it and I can paste it down here. And now it's an actual text, and I can make it bigger and so on. It's a bit annoying because, as you can see, it's kept the line spacing in there. So I would need to get rid of that, which is a bit of a pain. Yeah. But as I said, you could now use Immersive Reader. So if I take this over, let's go into my new version of OneNote. So in here now I could go and then go to View and Immersive Reader and do all these things we did earlier. Another something disappeared. And so if you want to make sure that this recognizes that it's in German, you need to highlight it. And in OneNote, you would right click and set language. So I can choose here. Well, it's recognized because English and German are the ones I use the most. But if it doesn't come up, you just need to go to See All, and then you can choose all the ones you want. And you can even have different accents and so on. I guess it won't have Immersive Reader for all of them, but or the main ones, I would say. So now it knows it's in German. I can do the same. So in Word, I can quickly show you. Sorry, I haven't got it open yet. So let's put this in there. Sorry about that. Here we go. So in Word, normally, come on, I want to paste it. Oh yeah, here we go. Now it's done it twice. Never mind. In Word, you can highlight the text and then go to review, and then language and set proofing language, and then you can choose what it is, which is quite useful doing it bit by bit, because sometimes you might have English instructions in it. So you want it to recognize that the English is English and the German is German. Otherwise, it will read the English in a really stupid German accent, which might be funny, but maybe not so useful for them to understand it. But if I just quickly show in here, if I use Immersive Reader, which is in view, how do I get rid of my bar here? Here we go. So in view, and it's not in here. Yeah, Immersive Reader, there we go. It doesn't quite have all the options. So it does have the color options and so on, and the spacing options, but it doesn't have the whole dictionary thing, which is a pity. So that will only work in the web version or in OneNote. And in OneNote, it does work in the full desktop version. So unfortunately, it's kind of different in each program where you use it, and you need to play around with it. Another really good way.
I'm just interrupting us. There's a question about how you get to this from OneNote, and I've said it's through View and then Immersive.
Yeah.
I've just done it, and that hasn't worked for me. So how do you do?
You might have to install it as an add-on.
How odd, because normally it does work.
Yeah. If it's or it might be in your settings, in your options. Let me quickly see if there's an option for Immersive Reader in there.
I used it the other day, so I'm really confused. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought perhaps I could. Oh, Alicia says she's found it anyway. I haven't.
Okay.
I keep looking.
I mean, I know for the old version of OneNote, you had to install it as an extra add-on. But I thought with the new one, with Windows 10, it should come with it.
I think I'm using an old one here. I think I've opened the wrong one.
Okay, that's
maybe anyway,
why.
the person who asked is happy because she's found it.
That's fine. She's found it. Okay, good. What else do I want to say? Yes. Another much better way of getting stuff from a webbook into your whatever Word and so on is an extra app which is called Photoscan. I don't know if you can get it on a Mac, so I'm using a PC and it's free on there. So you just go into your app store on your computer, or just Google it. I can probably share a link in a minute. Oops, where's it gone now? And so it has adverts in it, so that's why it's free, but doesn't really matter. And what you can do in there, so when you go in there, it looks like this. You can either choose a photo that you've already got, or you can go straight from your clipboard, which is great. So it means you don't even save it. I just go from the clipboard. Here's the last thing I clipped. And you can see over here that it's turned it into text. And the added nice thing in here is it has without line break, which is really good, because then it turns it into one continuous text, which is great, especially if you have two columns in your text, because it will recognize that there are two columns and make it into one single text, which really saves a lot of work. And you can then just copy it and then put it wherever you want it, like in Word or so on. So Photoscan, definitely I would recommend to get on your computer. I guess in school, it's maybe not so easy. You will need to ask your IT team or whatever if they can install it. There's also an extension called Copyfish, which you can get on your Chrome and Edge browser, which works sometimes. But I found that, for example, in textbooks, weirdly, it always, I can't remember, it did something weird. I think it always zooms out onto the whole page, and then it couldn't really find enough text. So yeah, it works sometimes, but not always. So Photoscan is better, definitely the better one. And I have to say about Immersive Reader, sorry, I'm jumping around. I mean, it's not just for learning languages and kids who can't read. I used it the other day because I had to read a long text on my screen after I've had lessons all day. And I didn't just want to stare at the text the whole time. So I just played it just for me to be able to listen to the text. So that's also something. I mean, hopefully lockdown is finished soon. But if you are still in lockdown, it's something to consider to save your eyes some strain, and the students as well, that they can listen to things and not have to read it, I would say. Okay, I think.
Thank you very much. Can I just say that Danielle did say, if you could just slowly tell us again about how you capture something using the Windows, the Shift and the S, and just that bit. So here you are, coming up just for you, Danielle.
Yes. Okay, so 1 hour textbook, and let me see if I've got something with 2 columns. No. Okay, I'll just do a random one here. So try to zoom in as much as possible, because otherwise you will have more mistakes in it. Then you go to Windows key, which is on your keyboard if you're using a Windows computer, and Shift and S. And it will then bring up this little extra window. I don't know if you can see it in the screen share.
Yes, you can.
Where you've got different options. And I'm using the first option, which is a rectangular snip, and I just draw it around the text I want here. So now it's on my clipboard. And now I go into Photoscan, for example. I can go from clipboard and it's recognized it. It's slightly weird because of the numbers, because it thinks that this is a different column from this. So I would just take out the numbers and just number it myself if I need to. I can take out the line break, which is quite nice as well. So if I want to have it as separate sentences, I can still do it.
So that's showing it to Photoscan, but also you showed Photoscan, you just take it and put it straight into OneNote.
And now I just literally just copy it. Apparently I can read it out as well, but I haven't really tried that out, so I'm not sure.
But once it was in the OneNote, what did you have to do in the OneNote? I think
now I just paste it in.
And pasted in.
Yeah. And now then I can go to View, Immersive Reader, and then it would start it up, and hopefully, actually, I didn't change the language.
But that is a brilliant way, isn't it, of converting it? When I think of the long way round I go, the way I use. So that's great. So Danielle is happy.
No, I'm kidding. Super.
So
good.
Thank you ever so much for that, Julia.
No problem.
Really, really good. I think we're really getting our money's worth tonight, aren't we? So we've had Immersive Reader, and lovely to see the reactions there. So thank you very much. And now we've got, and everyone's saying, Julia, that was amazing. It was. Thank you so much. So over to Esmeralda now.
Hi. Right, I'm going to be talking about feedback with OneNote as well. So let me share my screen. So I'm going to the screen and share sound. So we're going to do so. Right, so hopefully you can, okay, this one. Yes, hopefully you can see that. Is that right?
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, lovely to hear about the Immersive Reader, because actually I don't use it enough, and that's something I want to start playing with, just to get the kids to practice with, with grammar and things like that. So that's that was very, very good, both of you. And yes, feedback, and I called the presentation Feed Forward. I changed the name. I thought, yes, just because when we give feedback, basically what we want is to move the kids forward. And I want to explain 8 different aspects of feedback, and hopefully it's not just about OneNote, but also to reflect a little bit on the role of feedback as MFL teachers as well. Can I ask you at some point, and I will remind you, if you can redeem, you can go to this website, https://education.microsoft.com, and redeem this code. Probably Helen, will you be happy to share that later on?
I'm just popping it now into the chat. So we've got it there.
Yeah.
And then actually, did Jerome leave us his number as well?
Yeah, I thought he was going to leave one, but I'll put it later on into the because I cannot see my chat right now, but I will put it on later on. If people can, it would be great because it's very good for our CPD. So that's actually very, very good. So before we start, I also wanted to talk a little bit about focused feedback as well. I was reading this article from Harry Fletcherwood on Twitter. I think it was just Sunday night, and he was just talking that sometimes we give too much feedback, and he was talking about doing focused feedback, basically just rather than giving the kids loads of targets, just a few targets or one target for them to focus on. Sometimes we just give them too much cognitive load, and they just don't move on because they've got so many targets to concentrate on. And I thought it was quite powerful. I will share my presentation later on because there is a link to his little post about that and how our feedback should be concise. And that's something I need to work on myself in order to boost confidence, to reduce basic cognitive load, but at the same time to reduce our workload as teachers. And I think that was quite powerful and a nice way to start the presentation. Do we need to say as much as we normally do? Can we just concentrate on a particular target and let the kids basically have time for them to start to excel in that particular target before we move on to a second one? But anyway, that was a little bit of food for thought there. OneNote, the first way, when I love OneNote, everybody who knows me knows that I teach through OneNote. I plan my lessons with OneNote, and the tool that I love the most is the fact that I can give my students oral feedback with OneNote. It's one of the tools that it means that I can be in a lesson, and for example, if in a live lesson I can see that some of the kids are making a mistake, I can stop the lesson and telling everybody, but the kids probably will forget about that mistake, especially if it's pronunciation mistake later on. So I can actually use the OneNote and the oral tool, the insert audio, just to a little bit of a reminder for a particular student to actually tell them, you know what, this is how you pronounce this, can you repeat this with me? And actually just to have that kind of private conversation at any time with the student outside the classroom, so they can take the feedback with them later on and doesn't just leave the classroom. And I think that's very, very, very powerful. At the same time, allows me to go through writing extremely quickly as well when I'm giving feedback. So let's start giving some examples on how to do that. So this is an example from my year 11s from the 5th of February, just before half term. And hopefully I'm going to try to open, if I can, into the desktop, just because it is so much better. If it allows me. Yes, here we are. So this is an example of my year 11. My year 11 wrote, this lovely girl, she wrote a really nice piece of writing. She used as well her little check box to say that she used everything. She's got her sentence builder there as well to write. Very nice. What I did is I marked the work, but there are not any comments. All my comments are in here. So basically the feedback is there, and the only way to do this, very, very simple. You just click wherever you want your feedback, go to insert, and from insert go to audio, and just basically now recording what I'm saying. When you are done, stop, and that's it. That would be the feedback. The kids can listen to it. I think that's very powerful. For example, in this particular case, this girl had written a very good piece of writing, but it's only 26 because she didn't address all the points in the bullet points. So basically, I only could give her 10, and actually, I could, in a lot of detail, actually to tell her what was wrong, what she could have done about it, and how she could move forward. Very simple. Which in having to do that in writing would have taken me probably about 3-4 minutes, and I could do that in 1 hour. So extremely, very, very, very powerful. Another thing I recommend when you're doing this is to use in class notebook review student work. So that also will save you time. So if you go to you come here, review student work. You basically tell, it will tell you, it will tell you basically where the work it is. So in this case, I think I'm gonna go to lessons. This is a mock. This is not basically any class. I called it test. Come in there, and for example, this is the work. This is the work I want to do. I come to next. These are two of my colleagues, so they're no students' names, so I can't go to that particular, and that would take me there. I can mark the work. I can do my insert. When I'm done, I go to Arantxa. I can go then to all the different students. And what I like about the review is that once I insert, for example, my voice, or I've done whatever I want to do, I can look at the page, so the student can now go back later on and change it, get rid of my feedback, or give themselves a fantastic, mark if they want to. So I think that's actually quite good. So that's a review student class notebook and a review student work. So that's actually quite a good thing to do. And the other one was the insert, as we said, insert and audio, to include it in there. What is good as well, while we're talking, I'm just giving you a few ideas on how to use, how to use audio as well, sorry, we are here. Yeah. Another quite good way as well how to use audio is actually for the oral practice. And I think it's absolutely fantastic to practice the photo card or the general conversation as well. So although that's not about feedback as such, I had to show you how powerful this could be to create a language lab at home, especially if you don't have the luxury to have one in your own classroom. So basically, you can make OneNote allows you to have a language lab. So I'll show you an example of how to do that after I've done that in my lessons. Okay, so I'm going to open again in my desktop, because it's just much better to get in there. So this is my lesson from the 11th of January. What the kids had to do here, among other things, is they had to work on a photo card. So what I did is that I created the photo card with a snipping tool. I basically put a photo in there, the photo card. I gave them a little bit of a table, so they could write the first questions, the first answers for the first 3 questions. And then, thanks to the audio insert, in this particular case, I recorded myself saying the 5 questions. The 3 first questions they could read from there straight away, as they can do in the exam. The last 2 were surprise questions I had to basically to answer. This is the child's answer. So what they did, the child is just insert and answer themselves. So I thought that was very nice way of doing oral, and you can do that for prep. In the past, I would never do I would never hardly ever do prep or homework involving oral. Well, now I can have something I can do it in the lesson if I want to, but I can do it as well for homework. And then at the same time, I can give them feedback at the same time orally on how well the pronunciation was. So that's something I do quite a lot. Another thing that you can do is that once you get the audio done, you right click, you can actually save it. So I think that's quite good, and I don't know if everybody knows about that. So it means that you can take it out from OneNote and use it in another app. So I think that's again quite good. When you save it, as you can see there, it will save as you give the name, you can get it would be like this one, and then when it does, you can give a name that you wanted, you can put it, and it is an MP4 file basically, and it's very good because then what I can do is that I can, wherever I saved it in whatever location, I can use it in another app. So a little bit of app smashing. But what is quite nice as well is I can do the same with the children's answers. And if they're very good, I can use one of the children's answers as a model for another class. Or I can use as well some of the children's answers if they're very good to basically with the smaller kids. Or I can use the A-level recording something for the other kids, something they used in the classroom. So it gives me a little bit, basically it's like a recording device they can have at the same time from OneNote without having to go to Vocaloid or other apps there. So I think it's quite nice. And then I can put it OneNote and have my link, put it in a QR code if I want to, put it in a display, do a hunt, a treasure hunt with a QR code. So you just name it. It's basically, it is really easy in a few minutes from that. So I really like the oral thing in that area. Yeah.
Just a couple of questions. Celeste was saying, did you have to train the pupils to do this? How did you go about giving them instructions about how to use OneNote in that way?
Well, what I did, actually, I had to train them in the last lockdowns. What I did is I did some instructional videos for them to show them how I wanted them to use it. I know in my school that, for example, we always have the Windows 10. So what I did is I did a video, and in fact, I don't have it here because it was actually in the content library as well. So every time they had videos in there, that I put in YouTube, and it was just me telling them what to do. This is how you do the audio. This is how you insert a file, because it's very important as well when they insert the file that they insert it as a printout. Otherwise, it's really difficult to mark. So I'm going to talk about that later. So that was something I had to train them as well. When you do it, don't just go and say that I just want an attachment. It has to be as a printout, so I can mark it. So yes, all that with instructional videos I did. And then we were lucky enough that we loved OneNote so much during the other lockdown that when we came back in September, we decided to use OneNote in the department. So then the kids started bringing their laptops to lessons, and this is how we were working. So they got really used to that. Actually, they're very good at the moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep, that's it. So that's basically a bit of oral feedback, not just for the feedback that you can actually give, but actually how you can use it as well for oral and to doing oral activities outside the classroom. The other one is a digital pen. Obviously, not everybody has a digital pen, but I have everything in my little digital thing in there. So if you have that, it's amazing, because basically you can write in OneNote as you would do in any other paper book. But what I like doing as well is copy and paste a rubric and tick on it, and that saves me a lot of time. So I'll show you an example of how I do that. So let's say it takes some time to download. This is from the 10th of June, from the previous lockdown. Okay, that it is then. Okay, I'm gonna open again just because it is much easier to, in the dust and desktop up. Okay, and that is basically what I mean. So basically what happened, what is the scenario? I had here, the year 9s had to do an oral test. So what we did is that we gave them 10 questions, very simple. This was in June. They used quizzes to practice in writing the questions that they prepared for homework. And then what I did, using actually the insert audio, this is how much I use it so much in my lessons, also for my own listenings as well. I put this is me writing with the 10 questions. They are not in the same order as the questions here, so otherwise it would have been released. They don't need to listen to me. And when they were ready, they just insert themselves the audio, and then what I did is I just gave them a little bit of feedback on what tenses they were using. Then what I did is, this is where I wanted to show you, this is the marker scheme. The marker scheme, I inserted it, and this is what is quite important. When you insert a file in OneNote, say for example, let's try to, okay, actually I'm gonna put it, otherwise it's gonna be on top of that. Let's see if I want my file here. I'm just going to choose something random. So imagine I want to do like this one, for example. I don't know what that is. I hope it's fine. And when you say open, okay, yes, sometimes it's that, it does that. You need to try several times, don't ask me why. But I think that is my own. When it says open, yes, that's it. You got 3 options to insert a file. And I always recommend you want to write on it, which is this example, that you do it as a printout. Okay, so you just do it as a printout as you do it here. And sometimes it comes with that. I think this is my own thing. It's been doing that this week quite a lot. So I think it's a glitch from my own application things. I'm going to try another time. Sometimes when I try a few times, it does work. Actually, there you are. It did work this time. So what it does is this, basically, this is your Word document that you can open. You right click, you can open it, but you also create a PDF. Normally I get rid of that because I don't need it, but it creates like a printout of your document. And this is basically what I did with this marker scheme. This is the marker scheme that we use in the department for year 9, which is based on the GCSE one. And once you do that, you right click, you can set that file as a background. And once you set it up as a background, it means you can write on it if you have a pen. You can type. If you don't have a pen, you can actually type. Okay, so this is brilliant for the kids as well to have worksheets if you want to, but as feedback, if you do that, you just write on it and you just stick where the kids are. So you sit in this band, you sit on the other one, and the only thing you need to do is to write the name, the number that they are, and the final mark at the end. That saves you a lot of time. If you don't have a pen, it doesn't matter because you still can write. Because you can write on it, you can actually write the number if you want to. So that saves you a lot of time. Why does it save you time? Because from the very beginning, I can distribute this page already with these rubrics in it. That obviously they're empty, and then I go to the class note, and then I go to the student review, and I would go one by one, and it's already there. And it's much quicker than even having enough paper, hard paper, basically, that you would have done in the old-fashioned way. So I think that is actually quite good way of doing stuff. So this kit got basically my feedback, oral feedback, and at the same time got whatever they got in the mark scheme, 30 out of 30, because it was very, very well written. Oh, sorry, very well written, very well said, actually. So you get a lot back from me in one set. So that is something really to have your rubrics basically, and just to write over them. That's something that is actually quite good. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and this is actually, I have to thank here to, sorry about that. I had to thank here to Joe and the wonderful Becky Jones, and it's about basically Windows V, and I'll show you how that works. I think is very good. This is a video from Becky Jones actually demonstrating how the Windows V works, and Joe then mentioned it afterwards as well, and I've been using it since, and it saves so much time, and it's not just for OneNote, this actually works in other apps as well from Microsoft. So basically what this allows you to do, basically, oh, someone can admit, shall I admit her? Sorry, just admit it, Esther. So basically what this allows you to do is to copy as comments from a rubric that you have into your clipboard, and then by pressing Windows V, you have, and I'll show you in a minute how that works. You can have a list of all your copied comments. You choose the ones that are relevant to your student, to the feedback that you want to give, and just press paste, and it's there. And that saves loads and loads of time. So I'm going to show you exactly how that works. So imagine this is my A-level AQA mark scheme that I have in this dummy class book. Again, I'm going to go to the desktop, so I work better there. Yes, basically this is what I have, and then what I can do now is I go and I say, okay, I'm selecting this and I'm doing CTR copy. Then I go to the next one, basically, and I do CTR copy, and then I go to the next one. I can go as far as I want, and I do CTR copy again, and I'm gonna go to another one, CTR copy. I'm not gonna bother about pool because I don't expect any of the children to get into this category. Then I'm going to A4, and this is basically CTR copy, and I'm gonna stop here, right? So you get the idea. So I'm just copying a lot of things. Now I'm gonna come to my essay. So this is my year 13 student. We just wrote an essay in January about La Casa de Bernarda Alba. I marked it, but there was not, at the moment, I just marked it, but there is not any band in it. And what I do now is that I press Window V, and this is where you got all the things I just been basically copied are here. So what I need to do now is to choose which one is relevant for this particular child. So actually, this is an excellent critical thing. So I'm going to choose that one, and there it is. So this is my format. So that saves me a lot of time. And for the other aspect, I go again to Window V. And for the language, I think the language again was very good. So she's in this band. So she's here. And then I can use now either orally or I can use my pen. And then I can write from 17 to 20 was actually, I'm going to give you 19. You are in this band from here. I'm going to give you 18. And then I can give her a total thing. And I can, yes, I can basically use this over and over again. If you leave your computer, all those lovely comments will leave. Okay, so we will have to do that again, which is a real pain in the backside. So what you can do, and Jordel told me this, is that you go to the 3 points, you can actually pin that comment. Once you pinned it, as you can see, it will keep it, even if you basically turn off your computer. So when you come back, it is there forever. So what I do have, so you don't need to do the same process over and over again. So what I do have, I do a lot of things, I have a lot of things, but I also have like my little emojis that I use a lot. I have quite a lot of things that I keep using, and I know they are there in my clipboard if I want to. That saves me loads and loads of times. I think that's just absolutely brilliant. So thank you to Beck Jones who introduced me to it, and to Jodel for the pin thing about it. I think is actually quite good. Are there any questions? Everything is very quiet. Helen, any questions at all?
It seems to be fine, and people, because there are people helping each other, it's lovely. So everybody is still amazed by it and helping each other. So I think somebody did ask about how, I think Daniel was asking about how something worked on a Mac, but I didn't know what you were referring to. So
I don't have Mac, so I cannot give you an answer on that one, I'm afraid. I don't have Mac, so.
So maybe,
so, yeah.
Right, okay, no, fine, lovely.
Is that okay? Fantastic. So next thing as well, another really good thing is using the stickers, and I do have the emoji area here, but I'm just going to talk about the OneNote stickers. Actually, are pretty good. So for that, I'm just going to show you. Yes, let's go back here. So imagine again, I want to give some encouragement to my lovely student. Catherine. And this is why, I mean, someone was asking about how to train the students. You have to train them, because what my students used to do at the beginning, when they were inserting work, they used to put it just as an attachment, which means I had to open it in Word, then I have to save the work, and then I had to put it back on into OneNote. And that was a really long process. So I very quickly, I trained them. So everybody, as you can see, this is the kids doing it. For me, they always insert it as a printout. So very quickly, I just can write on it. So I think that's quite good one. Right, so stickers. So you can go to insert, and in here, you can come to stickers. And you have a lot of different stickers that you can use. The ones I like, and the ones we should really concentrate, is the ones that you can write on. So for example, that one. And you have quite a lot of, I mean, Jerome is not here. There's some lovely fruity ones here as well that you can use. Even these ones from the office drama. And yeah, so imagine anything. The ones that you can write, I mean, you can use any sticker that you want to, but the ones I think they're quite powerful, the ones that you can actually write. So imagine you are here. Why are they good? Because you can change that. So using my window V again, I can actually say, I want that one. So now what I do have now, I say done. If I want to, instead of doing it like before, in like this, if I want to have even pretend, I want to have something, I have a sticker now with that particular comment from the rubrics. And if I really like it, obviously, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, and then I can save it into my own OneNote. I can save it into my teachers area, probably. Okay, and I can, I'm sorry, yeah, I need to close this. Sorry, then I can go to my teacher area, and then I can save it as one. I'm sorry, there. Why is it not closed? Sorry, I think it's my. Yes, there you are. I can then, I don't have it here because this is a dummy one, but I do have a teacher area, and then I have an area for stickers, basically, and do have a whole collection in there. And I think that's quite powerful. So you have a very nice, I mean, this is just one of the stickers I use, but if I repeat that as insert and then a sticker, and then you can choose any, I mean, this one would work quite well as well. So set that one there. Instead of that one, window B, I use whatever, or it could be something I can write. I can say, well done, that was amazing, or make sure that you concentrate on verb endings, or you need to concentrate on content, whatever it is. And then I have my sticker that I can use over and over again with all the different kids, and actually looks quite pretty. So that is another one to do with the stickers. To do with the stickers as well is the use of Bitmojis, and everybody who knows me knows that I love Bitmojis, because I started using them really about last year, around January. And they really have revolutionized my teaching, because the kids absolutely love it. And I was in the all a really nice the west of England conference last week, and I think some printer was talking about motivation, and one of the motivations actually was the relatedness and to relate to the kids. And I really think that something as simple as a Bitmoji can help you to relate to the kids, and I use them all the time. So what I've done, if you can see here, I do have my Bitmoji in my Google Doc. So it's here, so I can get basically a Bitmoji whenever I want to, very quickly, without having to be on my phone. Okay, so these are the ones, yeah, I use all the time, and you can write. I can write in Spanish as well if I want to. You know, that for some reason they doesn't like the accents very much. Okay, so sometimes they have accents, but the kids, yeah, probably be guilty about that. But anyway, I still use them, and I use them all the time. I'll show you just to give them very, 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 very quick feedback. And for this, sometimes while the kids are working, when the kids when they are in teams, I just go through the book very, very quickly. So I'll show here. I also use my Bitmoji. I did this with Canva, and I put it in every single of my lessons. So this is basically a template that I have in my lessons, so they know this is what they get. But for example, in this particular one, I'm going to open. That's why I don't like the browser. I prefer this one. Okay. Let me close this. That takes a lot of space. So this is, for example, this is, yeah, you can see how I use them all the time. So this is a lesson from January, from my year. That's another thing I also would recommend with OneNote. I started by having a lesson, a page per lesson. And then what happened is that the kids had thousands of lessons and pages, and some of the lessons were very short. So what I started to do, and just not a lot written, what I started to do that is actually much better, I think, is to have a page per week. And in the week, they go lesson 1, lessons 2 and 3, and everything in there. So for example, in this one, this is like a lesson, this is like a Salgado lesson, because I got carousel learning. There was like reading. The kids actually marked themselves in teams. Then we have the language team. Then we had some videos with listenings. They had to write it down. I always like clicking. They had learning apps, and they had as well battleships that we did as well in OneNote. This is in breakout rooms actually, and this is what I mean by multi-emojis. I always write my Merito, for example, even if it's just, there's no lot of feedback in here. It's a lot of text. The kids love to have the text. It's like they take pride that actually it's like saying, well, actually the teacher is she bothers to read what I've written, and then it's a little bit of un mérito or half an alpha, whatever system you use in your school. And I think that works up really, really, really well. And I just create that just by writing mérito. And once I like it, again, what I do is that I copy, I have it in my own area, and I'm using Windows V, I reuse it over and over again. So I would definitely recommend you're going to using the Bitmojis to use them, to start using them now. Also, I would say Bitmojis, and once you use them, it's not just for OneNote. You can also, Bitmojis and Canva goes really well. So one of the things, I use it for certificates. So that's another way of giving feedback as well and reward the kids. All the students that did remarkably well, actually they got this little certificate that I made in Canva with my Bitmoji, and it was emailed to the parents, and also I put the link into their OneNote page, so everybody got with a little message from me. So that was a little different touch to build relationships. And another one that works really well, where you know that I love Joe knows that I love my Bitmojis speaking. I use them for listenings. I use them for all sort of things. I use it in deck toys and for certificates. So
Oh,
Hola chicos, solamente un mensaje para deciros que habéis trabajado fantásticamente bien en las últimas semanas y el Departamento de Español está súper orgulloso de todo el trabajo que
There is a
hicisteis.
simple, touch, but I consider this feedback definitely as well. And I put the link into the children's OneNote page, but at the same time, I emailed it to the parents. The parents were over the moon, and they really liked the little touch there. So that's a really good one. And another thing that you can use as well, I created this and I inserted this into the OneNote, and the kids, everybody was like clapping at the end. I would suggest as well that you try to create your little video. I did this using iMovie, the trailer, and it literally took me, honestly, 5 minutes on my mobile phone, and the kids absolutely loved it. I just want to show a little bit how it looks like. Or with emojis. Christmas basically card to them, and they absolutely loved it, and it was a really nice moment for them. I put it as well.
Absolutely amazing. It's a pity that we can't have people's faces and audio, because I'm sure everybody's going wow, and so it's really, really good. If any other co-hosts want to show their faces, that's fine as well.
Yes, definitely. And the other one, this is nothing to show you here. It's a little bit of life and all of everything. We're talking about feedback, but actually also we can give live feedback as well. And I think that's quite equally important. And I've been given quite a lot of feedback in breakout rooms at the moment, but it's also very good because you are in OneNote and you're seeing what the students are doing at the time. It's actually easier than when they're in the exercise books. We cannot come near them. Actually, you can be in your sitting down at your desk. You can see what they're doing. If they're doing written work, and then if you want to have a chat with someone, you can call one of the students to your desk and comments. Having obviously the distance at the moment, you can have a chat with them. It's like, oh, what about this? I'm noticing that you're writing this. Why don't you try that? And that live feedback, I think, it works really well, and the kids really, really appreciate it. So that's another way of OneNote allows you to to do without having to come near the student, take the book, read it, and then give them the feedback, especially now that we cannot come near them. So I think that's something as well to consider. Which takes me to my second point of spinning the plates, because I think as teachers probably we can relate to this, that when we teach, we are giving them constant feedback. And what we do in a normal situation before COVID, we would be moving around the classroom, we would be coming close to a student, looking what they're writing, we would have a highlighter with us, we'll be highlighting things, we would stop the lesson at some point, we would say, okay, because you notice mistakes happening with 3 or 4 of the kids, you may, stop me asking questions and all that. And then sadly with COVID, all the interaction and movement in the classroom has stopped. And OneNote allows me to continue, because what I can do is that obviously if I am in my lesson from here, sorry, this is opening there again. I didn't realize. Yes, I can actually see what my assistant Arantxa is actually doing. I can be in there. I can actually see. Actually, this is actually really good. I can go then to my next person, Kimon. I can see actually that they're actually making the same mistakes. I can stop the lesson. I can talk to all of them. So basically, doing the spinning the plates things that we all do at the same time, and show models and doing it through OneNote. And I think that's very powerful. I can show something that one particular kid has done really well, and as long as obviously the kids feel confident in my classroom to do so. And yes, so I think that is one of the things that actually allows me to have a little bit of normality of what normally I would have done. And then closing the loop, but I think it's very, very important. I think that it's important as well that we give, once we give the feedback, I think it's important that we give time to the students when they come to the next lesson to read or to listen to our feedback. If we don't give them the time, they're just interested in the grade and they just pass it, they just ignore it. So I think just to give 5 minutes to read comments and to force them to react to it. So I think in my first example, you could see little Isabel, well, not little, she's in year 11, she actually, and they do that now as a matter of fact, when I write something, they're expecting, if I come here, yeah, basically they just wrote that in the Teams in our lesson. Listened and understood, I need to make my plan more clearer. I focus so much on getting the tenses, I forgot to pay as close attention to the bullet points. So basically that was an answer to my feedback, which is, and I force them to write in English something. It's like, oh yes, I need to do this next time, or sometimes I ask them to repeat something for me orally, and I give them, I mean, the key for this to work is to give them the time. If you just expect them to do later on in their own time, they will never do because they will forget. And I think that's the important bit. Other examples of feedback actually where you can get a student's voice known is using Padlet. I think Sonia last week's in her webinar, she was fantastic on showing how the kids actually were commenting on other people's work using Padlet. I thought that was very powerful as well. And you got the right feeling in your classroom and everybody, shares with each other and they feel safe. I think that's a quite powerful thing to do as well. Of course, although it's not Onenote, Flipgrid is amazing for that as well, especially for orals. And if everybody gets into the habit of commenting on other people's work, why not? Is like assessment for learning, modeling people's voices and building that kind of relatedness for motivation, which I think is very, very important. And sometimes I think, and I need to do this more, asking the students for feedback as well. So MS Forms is brilliant for that. And I also want to show the example of Swepsy school that I think the social media and shared the success when someone is doing really, really, really well, not just particular students, but actually as a class. This is so good, using social media for that. I think that's very important as well. So when it's about feedback, it's not just feedback like marking, it's about moving forward, but it's as well about creating relationships, making them feel that they are loved and they are cared for and that they are special, and so they move on. And just to finish, probably, I don't know, you've been working with, I had an anchor there, because this is basically a bit of my philosophy in teaching, a little bit of the anchor effect. And it's basically to expose the students to the content at a level usually considered above the national expectations. And for me would be, if I'm teaching GS stage 3, I like giving them GCSE expressions, a GCSE giving them A-level work, even if they are button set, just to show them how special they are. I believe in you, I think you can do this. And it's having that kind of high expectation, which for me is an anchor in challenge, that then with the reward and with the correct feedback, what it does, it contributes to the children's growth mindset, I think. So always have the anchor effect in your mind, basically. And that was it, really. So I don't know if shall I stop sharing now? But if there are any questions, I mean, I don't think I've said anything revolutionary here, but I shown probably a few features there. I'll leave you my philosophy and what is behind the technology.
I think really before, there may well be questions, but because I know that sometimes people have to go, and I'm sure everyone wants to express just how much they enjoyed that. That was amazing. You're going to love, we say this every time, you'll get lovely comments that you can see now. And Hannah Myers said, your students are very lucky, Esmeralda. Dorothy Anderson, this is beautiful. You care so much and your pupils will appreciate everything you do for them. Rebecca Jones, you're such an inspiration. I'm in awe. I don't know how you manage it all and to such a high standard and with such care. Annalise Adam, this is so amazing. The kids must love your lessons, and they're so lucky to have you as their teacher. So really, and it's an obvious thing to say, but we are so lucky to have you in, amongst this group. And I know that we talk about, it is teamwork. We've had the number of times that it's lovely that people are mentioning other people. People are saying, yeah, Joe showed me this, and then I did this. And then Joe joins in and says, yes, and here's my little link to it. And this is what it's all about, isn't it? That people are sharing it. And it's lovely to see you actually putting it into practice with your kids, and lots of lovely, lovely comments. So what we're going to do now, if it's all right, is I will let everybody open up their videos, open up their audio, and security. You're now allowed to unmute yourselves. You're allowed to start your video. Wow, we could go wild now, couldn't we? And there's Sabine right at the beginning, looking as if she's at a party. And there's Annalise. Lovely to see you all. So if you'd like to open up, wait to open up a little bit more, and then I'll do the usual class photograph of us as well. Okay, there's Florence. Lovely. All these names. We've really got to know each other really well, haven't we here?
It's lovely to see the faces, because it's like having a virtual community. It's just it's brilliant.
It is nice.
And it's not just like names, it's like people. So that's why I love this. That you see people that you are tweeting all the time about with. Which I think is very powerful.
1, 2, 3. Sorry to interrupt there. I was just checking.
Oh, thank you for showing the code. Yes, if you enjoyed a little bit of it, it would be lovely. You can sign into Microsoft and
doing the second page. Rosa's up there. Oh, Rosa, I love your background. Wow, brilliant. And 1, 2, 3. Great. There we are. We've got a couple of pictures to put on there. So yes, thank you so much, Esmeralda. Loads of ideas, and this has been, and just really, I mean, we're the particular Microsoft team people, I suppose, but there's so much that you were sharing there that just would apply, wouldn't it, to anybody, whatever you're teaching and your philosophy. So really good. Any other, really, any questions now from anyone, any co-hosts who'd like to have spotted anything, or anybody who wants to speak, really? So it isn't just me. I think Annalise Adam might want to speak. She looks as if she's poised to speak there. It'd be nice to hear you.
I was trying to
It all started because of you, because you mentioned something on Facebook. You were desperate for some help, and we said, right, we'll set these up. So you're the person who started all this off.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. I was trying to avoid speaking because my husband's watching something on the TV in the same room. But these workshops have been so amazing, and it's just been it's been amazing as an experience, because I think for me, I'd sort of been out of the community because my workload is always so much like all of us, and getting back into the MFL community, it's been so good. And it's we feel as our school, in our department, that the kids have learned probably more in lockdown than they do in school, because it's like you say, you're able to really engage with them individually and give them that individual feedback. And it's things like the speaking, they won't do it in class, but they'll do it on OneNote, and it's things like that shared PowerPoint that's been going around. We find that amazing, that you can see all the kids working at the same time. And my department were a little bit Luddite, and I've really converted them to a lot of this, and things like the Bitmoji classroom, and just so many ideas. So thank you to all of you.
Oh, well, thank you, Jane. Shall I stop recording actually now? I was just thinking.